Facebook. Let me know when you can hear me. Matt, seriously, I'm not leaving here until you tell me we're good.
Waiting for it to pop up.
That's usually the case.
New titles.
Yeah, right.
You guys should keep adding to your current titles.
What do you think, Matt?
Hey, Chase.
Can you hear me? Yeah,
Can you hear me okay?
I can hear you loud and clear.
All right.
I hear something. Matt, you got me?
I do. I got you loud and clear.
Well, you know what day it is. It is Throw It Out There Thursday. One of my favorite days, so anybody who goes live with us on Instagram is going to get a t-shirt. As well as we got a subject that's going to change your life today. Well, change your tire at least.
Change your life.
What's going on, Justin?
Oh, not much, man. It's another day. We're talking about flat tires, not unlike, Chase's life on a daily basis.
Hey, seriously, I don't go there right now, but yeah, you're right. I should get a tattoo.
After the last feed on Tuesday, the jobs folder on our emails where everybody puts their applications, we had like 16 people that are all audio visual. You wouldn't believe the qualifications that we had to choose from.
Hey, don't you worry about it. I don't think it's the audio or the visual that keeps me here, Justin, as much as it is our charismatic between one another.
I can guarantee you it's not your audio visual talent I'm keeping you here for. I know that because it's bad. Yeah, I might get in trouble for letting you go in some weird way.
100%.
All right. Enough of that banter. Thank you very much for sidetracking me, Chase. Appreciate that. Today is how to change your wheel and tire on a UTV. Now, you guys, obviously, we do it. We've done it. And probably most of you that are watching these feeds have done it. But there's a lot of people that never have. There's a lot of people that probably want to know without actually asking their friends how to change the tire because they know that buddy of theirs is going to give them a ton of crap. So we're going to show you just a couple of real easy ways to do that, both maybe on the race car and also on some other normal car, in this case, the Turbo S. So let's say you're out on the trail, you're with your buddies, you get a flat. And you happen to have the tools to do it, which would be some sort of a jack and hopefully a set of tools to pull the lug nuts off or an electric impact. So in our case, then we would use an electric impact, and one of the jack choices is going to be a scissor jack because they don't take up much room. What do you got? Something important, Chase?
Oh, we just had a comment here. Ryan Van Waltberg. Chase, tell Justin thank you for sending out the banner and shirts. Gonna get it put up in the hangar and send some pics.
Right on, man. Thanks for mentioning that. Appreciate that. Let us, when you send us pics, we'd love to see that. Maybe sign in and show us on a live if you get a chance. So let's just say you guys have got a flat and you're going for a jack. Well, here's a scissor jack. And these are really inexpensive. They're in the trunk of almost every car. You can go all over the place and get them. And you can actually get these from a couple of suppliers. Don't ask me who. You're going to have to Google it. I think we found this in the back of Chase's truck, so he can't change his tire now that we've got it.
I thought that was always a towel weight.
See? But I mean, you wouldn't know how to use it anyway. You guarantee. You're learning something today, aren't you, Chase?
Oh yeah, once or twice.
Okay, so good thing about these is they're light, they don't take up space, and you can weld a lot of stuff to the top of them to maybe hook onto things in the car. It's a good idea to grab something as close as you possibly can to the tire. The reason is that it comes off the ground a lot faster if you're lifting the car up near the tire. That's the only negative with a scissor jack, is that they're not the most supported thing in the world. But if you angle the jack a little bit in advance before you get started, then they'll actually hold up pretty good. If you tried to jack up the car, say underneath the skid plate, number one, you're going to run out of space and run out of travel on a scissor jack. You're going to have to use something else like wood, or if you're on a trail, guys are grabbing boulders and things, and it gets really sketchy. So try not to jack the car up itself. You'd have to go all the way up until the suspension's topped out. You probably won't have the room on the jack to do that. You can throw these on the back underneath a radius rod if it's a good strong one right at the hub. I wouldn't recommend that. The trailing arm's a better spot. But let's just do this for real, and we'll change the tire. That time I was a little bit better about angling that so it ended up straight. So lug nuts on these are usually torqued to about 95 to 105 pounds. It's a good idea to make sure you don't over torque them when you throw another one on.
What do you you mean by torque, Justin? Does that mean I have to have a 95-pound person torque that bolt?
Good question, actually, Chase. It's not that far off even for you. But so torque is a measure of the stress or the amount of force you put on the hardware. In this case, it's going to be twisting force on a lug nut onto the stud. I'm going to show you what a torque wrench looks like. You're probably not going to use a torque wrench on the trail, but you can certainly use one back in the garage when you're putting stuff on or in the trailer. What you don't want to do is overdo it. You don't want to underdo it because you're going to lose. You're going to snap studs if you overdo it, and you're going to have hardware come loose on you on a trail if you underdo it. So let's just pretend you're putting it back on. At least you got one with air in it. We'll talk about wheel and tire choice a little bit later on, like what puts up with more abuse gets less flats. Remind me after we talk about other jacks, okay? So if you put these on, try and do it in a cross pattern. Go to the opposite side. Opposite side. I just have them on loose. Come back and hit them real quick. Okay, that's pretty much it when it comes to a trail fix. But you really should also check your impact in advance so you know if this one's going to throw a lot more force on it or if it's not going to throw very much on it. So in this case, I'm going to grab a torque wrench and we're going to find out what it is.
John Tamilo says you use 4 Ooga-Doogas.
What did he say?
You use 4 Ooga-Doogas.
4 Ooga-Doogas.
With the impact?
4 Ooga-Doogas of tension on the lug nut?
Yep.
It is Throw
That
It
sounds
Out There
about-
Thursday.
sounds
I got
about
our
right.
first live one here. We got Grant. What's going on, man? Where are you at? What are you driving, and what's your question? Hopefully it's something about changing tires here, brother.
I'm in San Diego, drive a X3 2017.
Right on.
Actually, just basically, I've got 2,700 miles on the car, and pretty much just been going through the whole entire thing, replacing all the Heinz uniballs, pads, just everything, wheel bearings, and I was wondering, do you guys add grease to the wheel bearings on those cars? I've seen a lot of people talking about that.
So that's a popular thing to do. We've done it. I don't agree with it. The reason is that we've seen a lot more bearing failures because they've been over-greased than we have seen failures because they've been left alone. So I personally don't like doing that. We do not do that on the race car.
Okay.
Now on a Polaris, that's another story. You can definitely throw 4 or 5 maybe grease gun squirts into one of those and be fine. But you start putting 10 squirts into one of those, it's over greased, it'll actually come out the seal and you can have bearing failure. If you throw more oil at a bearing, they tend to run warmer. I know a lot of people would think that's wrong, but if you look at a gearbox or a rear diff or a trans, if it's overfilled with oil, the temperature will run hotter. If you underfill it, it will run colder. Well, the same thing happens with bearings. So I would suggest no on an X3. I'd leave it alone.
Cool. And then I had one more question about some suspension stuff. I've been wanting to get my shocks done and springs done and everything, and my car basically was sagging like crazy in the rear from the brakes, and obviously adding weight and stuff. I had a buddy over at Magnum Off-Road who did his suspension and basically gave me his brand new stock springs. They only had like 180 miles on them, so I figured for now that'd be better to just, swap those out since they're not sagging. But I mainly do fast desert riding. I don't race this car, it's my X3, but I've raced in the past, so we drive, pretty hard, mainly desert stuff. But I had a question about the crossover ring. How far down should I put that crossover ring and the rear suspension?
So once you have the ride height set with the stock spring, so whatever preload you have to throw at it to get it there, what size tires on the car?
I was running 32 2-inch tensors. I'm just throwing on a pair of ITP Ultra Cross Rs, so that's what's going to be going on there.
Still a 32?
32, yeah.
Okay. So at a 32, I would suggest about 16 or 17 inches of ground clearance on that car. A little bit more in the front, typically when you're sitting in the car. Always a driver in the car when we set ride height. So something like 16 and a half, 17 inches in the front and 16 and a half in the back. Once you get that number, then your crossover ring height should be 2.5 inches of gap in the rear, and that's measured from the bottom of the crossover to the top of the black spring divider that separates the springs at ride height.
Crossover, you said one more time, you said to the bottom of the crossover to what?
To the top of the black spring divider, or spring slider, that separates the bottom spring and the mid spring, or top spring in this case.
And that's on the rear, you said?
That's in the rear. And in the front, you want 1 inch to 1.5 inch gap.
Okay.
This is after ride height, and this is also with someone in the car.
Okay, gotcha. So that crossover ring would be pretty actually close to the top one.
Yeah, if you run the crossover up on a Can-Am to like 3.5 inches, it'll actually never work. The divider never even touches it.
Okay. Yeah, because I was looking at I think the Fox Race Tune, and they were saying 6 inches in the back, 4.5 inches in the front. It seemed kind of like a lot.
That means that the crossover is never used, which also means that the springs never go to the heavy rate. So the only way that works is if the shocks are over valved, too much compression, or if the spring package is over sprung. Otherwise, you just bottom the car out everywhere by doing that.
Yeah, because we're going to hopefully pre-run the Baja 500 in a couple months before the race, so that's kind of what I'm trying to set it up for. Would you say that what you were just saying is pretty relevant?
Spot on for that desert stuff. Yeah, absolutely. You're going to run through every kind of terrain when you get down there. We love it down there.
Sweet. Thanks so much, guys. You guys love watching your videos. I've been watching every single one.
Thanks, man. Appreciate you signing on. Give us a shirt size and a color, and Chase will send it to you.
Awesome. Thanks, guys.
Thanks, man. All right, we were, you guys want to, now that we've kind of killed what we were talking about, what do you got for questions?
Let's see, Mr. ASAFM, what's up, guys? Hello from Israel. FYI, Chase still hasn't sent out the shirts.
Don't worry.
What?
Don't worry, we have sent out the shirts. Matt and I got this week together, and they are going to Israel. They're going to take a little bit more time.
Can Matt confirm that?
Yes, Matthew.
Oh,
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes, I did send the shirt. You sent me the address the second time. We verified it. It just went out this week.
Okay.
There you go.
Octavius is on it.
Underscore Perez, do you recommend buying a front sway bar link for an XP or just the rear sway bar link?
Well, sway bar links you can do on anything, anywhere, at any time. They're just stronger and they're not going to fail. If you mean sway bar, then I would suggest a sway bar on the front of an X3 instantly. I would suggest a sway bar on the front of an XP if you are high-speed turns like desert and dunes.
Dan Gonzalez wants to know thoughts on Jack Daddy.
So I haven't seen that. Have you seen it? Is that the nitrogen one?
I haven't seen Jack Daddy. Well, no, that's the one from Pro Eagles, a Phoenix.
Yeah. So I don't know anything about Jack Daddy, but I can't help
I
with
have
that.
a Phoenix.
You have a Phoenix.
Yeah, one little CO2 car.
Yeah, how do you like it?
Haven't had to use it yet.
Okay. Maybe hey, you know what? Darren, Google Jack Daddy so I can see it. Jack Daddy.
Jack Daddy.
Yeah. Hopefully nothing like pornographic comes up.
Here's a good one, Steve0714. Before we get back on subject here, what's going to be Matt's new name?
Well, we already announced that, buddy. That
We've
was
already announced it.
Yeah.
Well, say it
Shock
twice.
Dot Matt.
Shock Doc Matt.
Shock Matt.
Yeah, follow Matt on his social media. Go to Shock Doc Matt on Instagram and also Facebook coming.
It's
in
Matt
10
Burke
days.
right now, but it will be changing.
Okay, so Facebook will be Shock Doc here soon.
I like Octavius.
All right. Anything else? Or
No, we're good. Keep rocking and
All
rolling.
right, so back to lug nut torque, you guys. So here's what a torque wrench looks like. If you do not know, this is something that will actually measure the force put on the nut. And at this point, I got 100 foot-pounds set in here, and this is going to beep when we get to that point. So come down here, Chase, so you can actually hear it. So that actually beeped when I hit 100. Right there.
Very faint.
So that's telling you I didn't have to put very much tension on that to get to 100. That means the impact that we used just by hitting it really quick was right there. So don't lay on the impact very long if you've got a nice one like we use. If you got a weak one, you might have to lay on it a lot longer, and it's a really good idea that you check what these are actually going to do for you at home before you get on the trail. So let's go over to the race car and check out a different jack. So on the race car, we use an AGM electric jack. I gotta forewarn you, these are pretty expensive. Maybe not the best jack for the trail kind of use, but if you've got a really heavy car, or maybe you go pre-running a lot in Mexico, like the guy that just signed on, then these are really helpful because you can actually flip a car back over having rolled it. or you can completely put it on its side with one of these very easily. But these use the cordless battery that we use inside in the impact for the car. So we're using basically the same battery both for the impact and for the jack. Adapter, which the guys lovingly nicknamed, I think they nicknamed it Balls Deep, actually, because
This is
you gotta
definitely
go
fabricated by
all the way in.
This has Tony screaming all over it.
It does. So this is adjustable. You can slide this down the jack.
Hold on, wait.
the right height.
Slow. Oh, easy. Wow. That's real nice.
Lock it in place and lift up. Just like that, car's off the ground, and we're swapping out a tire with the impact that we also keep in the car at the back. So we can do a tire change on this car, one person, so I can stay in the driver's seat, hopefully, and be lazy.
You said we there. I just laughed.
Yeah, I've seen me do it, but only when it's, you know, super, I would say, like we're maybe worse than a flat tire. But Jeff can probably change this in about 3 minutes at the most, and that might be a little bit on the long side. So there's a few other jacks that are made like that. You can do a king jack. It's not electric, but it uses the impact actually with a nut on top, and you can raise and lower the car. They're super convenient if you guys want to spend the money and you've got maybe a heavy car. The cool thing about it, like I said, is if you needed to, you can grab at the bottom of the car and you can lift the whole car off the ground, both tires. Maybe work on 2 sets of hubs at the same time if you had a problem. Maybe you hit a boulder and pulled the suspension off of one side of the car. You could work on one side at the same time. Now, what if you guys do not have a jack? What if you don't even have a tire, but you borrowed one from somebody and they don't even have a jack? So one good trick that we do in the middle of nowhere is to grab a tow strap. Pretty much everybody's got a tow strap someplace, right? Or at least they should. You tow strap to your buddy's car and grab the roll cage with the other end. And then very carefully, someone takes off without rolling the car over. It's kind of entertaining, and hopefully you guys haven't had too many beers when you have to do this.
Oh no, is Tony driving?
Why don't you come over here, Chase, so you can actually see the car come off the ground.
Good. Darren's in the car.
You know, one good suggestion, do not have the drunkest guy in camp drive the car that's picking up yours. Not a good idea. But go ahead, Darren. And just like that, you've got a car off the ground that you can change a tire on, or if something worse has happened, like maybe you've ripped the hub off the car or an axle, then you can easily pull the car off the ground. You can repair the whole side. You can repair all the parts that you need to. And a couple of things that are suggested here. One, that the guy that's pulling the car has his in low range, so you don't smoke a belt. And it's in 4-wheel drive, obviously, for traction. And that you don't ever get underneath your car. Because if your buddy lays off the brakes, then it's coming down and people are gonna get hurt. So again, make sure you got the guy you trust the most in that car. What do you guys got, Mitch, Matt?
Tim, UPR, do you have a preference on standard or splined lug nuts?
I do not really have a preference on those. I mean, for the race car, we're gonna go with the simplest thing, which is gonna be a standard 6-sided hex, because all the hardware in the car is gonna fit it. We have more, if we lose a socket, we still have another one that fits it. That would be a concern for us if we're in the middle of nowhere. But other than that, you're fine.
Fields INV, is the Turbo S frame support needed when upgrading the sway bar links?
No, sway bar links are not gonna change the stresses on those mounts. But doing a sway bar that has more stiffness, larger diameter, will actually add stress. And you want to do a sway bar support when you do a stronger sway bar. Go ahead and let it down. You can come back. You don't have to sit over there all day. Thanks, Darren. Appreciate it. What do you got, Matt?
I got Chad Barnhard wants to know, what is the best location for a tire carrier on a 2-seater X3 to keep optimal suspension performance?
So on an X3, the best place for the tire is in the bed. Come on over here, Chase. Now on the race car and on the pre-runner, you know, we hang it a little bit farther off than the bed of a normal car would be. But I would suggest that the tire goes in the bed. If you don't do that, I don't think I would like to see you put it on a rear bumper and hang it off the back of the car. That's just too much leverage, and you're gonna have to go more spring rate and more shock tuning to control that extra weight. If you put it on the roof, then you're gonna have more body roll and you're gonna wanna do more sway bar stuff. If you put it in the bed, you're about best of all worlds. Yes, Chase?
We got Mr. ASAF all the way from Israel. What's going on, brother? Don't worry, your shirts are on the way. Matt slapped me on the ass this week and told me this is unacceptable. Get on it, Chase.
That was just me teasing. That's all good. That's all good.
All right.
So I did some ride height adjustments last week on my car. Just to remind you, it's an XT1K. I have an aftermarket Fox factory shocks on it. And when I went to adjust the ride height, I noticed that the spring separator, the plastic thing, was hanging like 2 inches below the bottom of the shock body.
Okay.
Is that normal?
No. Did you get those straight from Fox, or did you do your own spring kit?
I got the car with it.
Got it with it, okay. So what's happened is whenever somebody did that spring kit, whether it was at the factory or whether somebody did their own spring kit at some point in time on the car, they put that spring divider on there with the long end of it facing the wrong direction. So that plastic spring divider has a short side and it's got a long side. The long side's obviously facing down on yours and it's popping off the body and can go anywhere. That's not good. So you want to take the divider and flip it over so the long end is facing upward and then it won't slide off the main body of the shock, which is the way that that's supposed to be. So you need to take the springs off and take that divider and flip it over.
Okay. Another question, if I may. If I take the ride height, I want it to be around 16 inches. What's it called? The crossover ring?
Yep.
Pretty low on the slides of the shock body.
Okay.
Do you think that maybe the shock sagged over, I don't know, time?
Are you running out of threads on the shock body for the crossover to thread down?
Yeah.
Okay, so that problem's going to get fixed when you flip the divider over, because the divider is going to get 2 inches longer vertically. So it's going to contact those crossover rings sooner. You might find out that you're going to raise the crossovers up to get the space between the divider correct after you switch it. So that's why you're running into that problem of running out of threads, because the dividers were flipped.
Yeah, because I wanted to adjust it according to what you said, about 2 to 3 inches from the real shock.
Yeah, about 2.5.
Okay, thank you. That helps a lot. Thank you.
Right on, man. Well, you got shirts coming. Chase promises, and Matt said he actually did it. So hopefully you get them soon.
Thanks, guys.
All right. You too. Take it easy.
Mega Desert Diesel, you talked about not using a particle separator. How do you duct your air intake in the Can-Am race car?
Over here. It's going to be hard to see. Actually, you can't see it, but this can, on the inside, you have an entrance hole on this can. It's about 2.5 inches in diameter. You can rotate this can all the way around, and you can point that entrance hole any direction you want. We point it right through the firewall, and it's basically facing the back seat. And the seats are in the car right now, so I can't show you how that works, but basically we've drilled a hole in the back firewall and we direct the entrance hole of the air cleaner into that firewall hole. Hopefully that answers your question, Mega. What else you got there, Matt?
Always on to something.
I got John Hoopert's asking, is it easier to plug than change?
Yeah, hell yeah. Plugging a tire is freaking easy. If you get a small hole in that thing and it's not sliced and ruined, then I would absolutely plug it. We've had friends take pictures. They all have like a contest on how many plugs they can actually shove in a tire and it work. You've seen some of those pictures, huh?
10 plugs in one tire?
No, more like 110.
Okay.
Yeah, have you guys ever seen that, like the picture in the Guinness Book of World Records of how many cigarettes you can smoke at one time? You know, like the dude's mouth is this big and it's just full of cigarettes? Okay, that's what the hole in this guy's tire looked like. It was all plugs, literally. But it worked. And I've seen plug attempts where they didn't have enough plugs, and they shove a rock in it and they plug around it, and then they put a ratchet strap around the sidewall, the tread, and through the wheel.
Jeez.
And hold the rock in the hole. So, you know, whatever gets you off the trail, but yeah, plugging it's going to be a lot quicker if it's a small hole. That's what I would do.
That's creative, for sure. Trucks and Dirt asks, how do I go about setting an appointment to get my shocks done by you guys, the IQS for my 2019 Can-Am X3?
Super simple. All you do is call the shop, 623-217-4959. You're going to talk to JT, Milo, Mike, Emilio, Samantha, and possibly Ernie, and next week you're going to talk to Matt. So all those guys, they're on the phone nonstop, and they can get you set up. They'll give you the openings that are available for our bookings, and you can pick a spot. What do you got, Chase?
We got a live one. Brian, what's going on, man? Where are you at? What are you driving? And what's your question, man?
I got a 16 Razor XPT and live in Lewiston, Idaho. I'm wondering what kind of bead locks you recommend running for trail riding.
Well, I always recommend Method wheels. I think that they've been the best to us out of any of the manufacturers. Also, I think they build the strongest wheel. So if you choose any bead lock from Method, you can't go wrong. Right behind you, you can see the Methods that we run on the race car. It's the same wheel that we run on the pre-runner. It's the same wheel we run on everything else around here. They've got a ton of styles though, but see this bead lock, if you get close, Chase? That bead lock's got an inside lip and an outside lip, so when rocks come across here, they don't snap the heads off the bead lock bolts, which is super popular. So exposed bolts, I wouldn't run that style of bead lock. How's that?
Yeah, that's good.
So yeah, Method, that's my choice. Check out all the styles. And if you don't run a Method, then just make sure the bead lock is protecting the hardware.
Cool.
All right, t-shirt, size and color.
All right, thanks.
Thanks, man.
I have a question from Matt Formont.
Yep.
He says, 2018 XP4 Turbo, how much can I sell my Walker shocks with the iBox Stage 2 spring kit when I buy the Fox RC2s from you?
You can sell those shocks for about $1,500 alone, and then the spring kit's going to be at least another $500 or $600 value. So you should be able to get at least $2,000 for that with the spring kit. No spring kit, $1,500, somewhere around there. Let's check out that billet intake behind you, Chase. Chase, do you know what a billet intake is?
No, maybe not so, but I do have a live one.
Okay, what do you got?
What's going on? We got someone here from Los Angeles. What are you driving, brother, and what's your question?
I have I just bought a 2020 XRS, I think it is. It's the Can-Am. I wanted to see if if I made a good decision. It's a 2020 brand new. What should I do? It's bone stock.
Bone stock?
To get a better ride out of it.
Okay, well, first thing I would do is definitely safety stuff. So belts, seats, anything that's going to give you a really good like 5-point harnesses, stuff like that first. And then when you get into the suspension, the first thing that I would do is a spring kit. The next thing that I would do, or at the same time that I would do, is to do the shock internals. So you're going to do all the internal mods and tubes coupled with the spring kit, and that thing's going to be a home run as far as suspension and performance is concerned. You going to go to the dunes the most? You're in California, so maybe high desert too?
Mostly dunes, like Pismo Beach, Glamis. Those are my go-tos.
Is Pismo even open? Is there enough like sand there still to drive a car around, and are they closed at all?
To be honest, I think right now they're only allowing, if anything, like day riding, but I don't think for camping right now.
Man, that sucks. I used to love Pismo, man. I'd go up there for a one-day trip when I lived in LA.
Beautiful trip, a beautiful place out there.
But in short, man, do the safety stuff first and then throw springs and internals at it. That thing's going to be sick.
Awesome. Thank you, man. Appreciate it.
Hey, give us a t-shirt and size and a color, okay?
Awesome. Thank you.
Thanks, man.
Alrighty, hope you're safe out there in LA.
What else have you guys got? Anything good?
Juwan, I'm gonna butcher that name, I'm sorry man, but particle separator worth it if you don't do dunes but once or twice a year? A lot of questions about the particle separator.
So I mean, I've said it before, I will tell you again. I think a particle separator is amazing and they do a great job. The only reason that we don't run those on any of our cars is because we're usually running too many lights, too many fans, and we overload the charging system in the factory X3 or a Polaris. And a particle separator uses power. So that's the reason why we don't do that, and we just direct the air cleaner inside the car and keep it clean. So I would do a particle separator for anything you're doing because it's going to help the motor out. Only reason we don't is because we don't want to use the power up in the car.
Especially when you're riding with Jeff.
Electrical power here, not horsepower.
Factory Elite Racing brings up a very good point here. Method B locks come with grade 8 bolts.
That was actually a question from Kathy. Do you use the stock bolts on the B-locks or grade 8?
Yeah, absolutely grade 8. If you take a look at these are what come with a Method wheel. But in the past, with other wheels, we always change the hardware out to a good hardware. Even though they say they might supply some good stuff with other manufacturers, we don't trust that because we see them break a lot. Again, that's why we like a protected B-lock so they don't get knocked off.
John, this might be a question for Matt. Maybe not yet, I don't know actually. Closest shop to Vegas, just picked up the 2020 XP4 Pro Ultimate and already planning a build.
Fatal Motorsports.
Okay.
H-Town.
Yep.
H-Town's in Henderson. Fatal Motorsports. Dirt to Dunes. Those are some of the dealers that I'm work with us, and I know personally, and they can get you taken care of.
There you go. We might have more dealers than that, but that's impressive that Matt already knows 3 of them off the top of his head. That's pretty good. Good.
Let's see.
What else you guys got? Chase?
I got someone wanting to go live here. Kick It Lynch. Let's see if we get them on.
You said that before they're actually on?
Yeah.
I thought we had a discussion about this.
Yeah, you know.
Never even talk about it until they're actually on, Chase, because they usually don't sign on.
Oh, they're on. What's going on?
And then I'm wrong.
Mr. Lynch, where are you at? What are you driving? And what's your question?
I'm from Wichita, Kansas, and I just got an RS1 in the spring, and I just got your guys' RC2s in a couple weeks ago.
Did you drive it yet?
And, I drove it, but I'm waiting. Lone Star just shipped off the long travel today.
Gotcha.
So it's not really set up, obviously.
Yeah, did we send you those shocks set up for the long travel? So they might be really stiff with the stock stuff on there.
Yeah, they're set up for long travel.
Yeah, then wait till you put the arms on there, it'll ride bitchin'.
Yeah, I'm sure. But yeah, I mean, and I'm kind of waiting on a turbo setup. I'm trying to figure that out. So.
Mitch loves a turbo RS1.
Yeah.
Careful.
Yeah.
You're touching the mic.
Sick when it's all done, but
That's gonna be sick, man.
Got excited.
yeah. But I'm kind of like building what I would say like my ultimate dune side by side.
Yep.
I was just curious what yours would be. Like a budget of like, like within reason, I would say.
You're building it. That is my. Can you really call an RS1 a side by side? I don't think.
It's a UTV.
It's a UTV.
But it's not side by side.
So everyone lights me up for calling them cars. I just take the easy way. That's all. I don't. And I could care less. But I'm messing with you, man. I think the RS1 is probably the best dune machine you could possibly have, especially with what you're doing with an RC2, and especially with a turbo.
And long travel.
And long travel. That's sick. I mean, Mitch is an animal in an RS1. I've seen him do it.
I might have to come borrow it from you.
Yeah, so like our shop RS1, no turbo whatsoever. Mitch would push bumpers of built turbo X3s and turbo S's all day tuning, like touch them. So I think yours with a turbo and what you're doing is going to be the one to do.
Thing will do wheelies, man.
Yeah.
It was really cool. Mitch was able to literally weasel his way in and out of everyone the entire time driving. If you go and watch some of the side-by-side blog guys, they're building an RS1 as well. I think the power to weight ratio exceeds any expectation of all the vehicles.
Now, this is the one guy inside the shop that has absolutely no knowledge or engineering or even math skills telling you about power to weight. just so you know.
Or audio.
With the spare tires, so I should be able to ride wheelie on the bumper pretty good.
Oh yeah, it's not going to be hard, man. I think you got the best car for it.
Sweet.
Hey, did you get a shirt when you got those shocks?
No, I didn't.
Give us a shirt size and a color, and we'll see if Chase sends it to you. If not, then Matt will make sure he does.
All right, sweet. Thanks, guys.
Thanks, man.
You got a babysitter now.
Yeah, babysitter Matt. That would have been another name idea.
Raymond Lopez 028. Hey guys, do I have to rebuild my shocks if my reservoir is leaking, or can I just replace the reservoir?
You can just replace the seal that's leaking in the reservoir if you want to. Just depends on the seal. Sometimes if it's a seal up at the head of the reservoir, it might be just as easy to take the whole shock apart to replace it. You're going to do it anyway. You might as well throw seals in the rest of it. But if it's a seal on the end cap around here, you can absolutely pull nitrogen out of it, swap the cap, swap the seal, put it back in, you're good to go.
I've got Evan Smith sending my shocks up to you guys to get springs and valves done for my XP1000. When they get sent back to me and I put them on the car, is it good to go after that, or will I need to do more as far as tuning it?
So we do have instructions for that. When you get those shocks back, you're going to treat them as if you just put a spring kit on it, which means you're going to put them on the car and you're going to double check your ride heights, set your ride heights if they need to be changed. We get about a 50% success rate on nailing ride heights from the way we set the shocks up, send the spring to you. But every car is different and every spring is different, and those little nuances make it to where the car might sit a little low or a little bit high. So check your ride heights according to the numbers that we give you in the instructions. Once you've got ride heights set and check the crossover, take off and run it. You might, I forgot if you said walkers, but it was an XP, right?
XP1000.
XP1000, so it's got walkers on it. We're going to send you that setup with all the compression adjusters set all the way loose. So start slow, work your way up. If the car bottoms out, then put 2 clicks at a time, stiffer compression in it until it stops bottoming. Leave it alone, and then it's good to go.
We got everyone really excited with all this RS1 build talk. Mr. Sparkles wants to agree with you, Justin. They are all cars.
That's what I thought. See? I got one fan on that. Everyone else seems to disagree, but I don't care.
The Tortoise One would like to say that he puts E85 in his RS1. Maybe that's his secret.
He wants you to go check out his car on his page too. We might have to do that.
All right.
We're gonna have to do this. We're gonna have to get another RS1. And speaking of getting another car, Justin, Steve-O Knievel and I just got an idea of a car that you could build me for sure. I think you're the only one qualified to do this. How about a long travel Razor 170 with a turbo? Come on, let's do it.
It would definitely fit you, Chase. That's for sure. If it was towing balloons and blowing bubbles out the exhaust pipe, then it would be a perfect car for you.
We could call it the Bubble Raider.
You guys got anything good, or we can get out of here?
Ragu 4545. What A-arm bushings and ball joints do you recommend for an X3? Are the ball joints on LSR A-arms good enough for dune riding?
Yes. So if you're going to do LSR arms, then all the ball joints, there's no ball joints. They're actually uniballs with 300M pins, and that's the best possible joint you can run. It's what we race. If you're talking stock arm, then we actually run stock ball joints, but we change them every 1,000 miles, and we've never broken one. So I just think the stock ones, if you let them go 1,500 or 2,000 hard miles, that's when they become a problem. Bushings, we run a bushing kit, Delrin bushing kits from No Limit, actually from Phil Burton. That's what I would suggest. Matt, you got something?
Yeah, Mark William wants to know, will the new X3 RS Smart Shocks be good for East Coast technical riding, or do you have to always drive fast and hard to get the full benefit?
So the Smart Shocks for East Coast, the adjustability and how those shocks function are going to be much better in any riding than a previous non-electronic system, because you can turn them up and down. So for your riding, you might run it soft all the time. You don't have to run them any harder than any other shock to make them work. But from what we have seen, the Smart Shock setup is quite on the stiff side and has a lot of rebound too. So I have a feeling that we might be doing a lot of internal work and spring kits on those to get them to be plush enough where a lot of the East Coast guys would love them to be. But the electronics are great for East Coast. The setup and the tune might be a bit stiff.
I got 2 more here, and then I think...
Yep, we're out of here.
there.
2 more questions.
Ryan H. Bartlett, what's the max that the CVT exhaust temp should be?
So that's a kind of a trick question, and the reason it's a trick question is because all belt gauges are not created equal. So you put a temp gauge on the belt or clutch assembly, say for instance like is it a Razorback? I've seen Razorback gauges, and no offense to them because I think it's a great gauge to have, but I've seen some where the belt blows up at 220, and I've seen some that, well, the belt blows up at 260 in my own car. So same car, same everything, but the belt temp gauge is off from sensor to sensor or gauge to gauge. So for that reason, I would tell you, go out and blow up a belt and you'll know where it happens on yours, and then you need to be running the belt temps 10 degrees minimum less than that. So for instance, on our race car, the belt blows up at 260. We actually start slowing down and driving nicer at 240, and at 250, we're pretty scared that the thing's gonna go at 260. So, but that could be easily 220 for you. So check it and then go from there. Next, Mitch.
Action Jackson.
Say that 10 times.
2956. Do you run a brushless fan setup on the radiator on the race car?
We are going to be running that. It will actually be on the car before Vegas to Reno. We just haven't put it on the car yet because we can only get one fan, not two. We get the second fan on Wednesday and they're getting swapped out.
Speaking of Vegas to Reno, STR Tuning, one more week to Vegas to Reno. Get to work, boys.
2 weeks.
Hey, it's 1 week until we need to be ready, okay?
All right, well, we're pretty much ready except for fans and a couple little things. Car just got back from the dyno. We were out at Lake Havasu yesterday. Spent a lot of quality time on it. Got some great numbers out of it and super reliability for high altitudes for Vegas to Reno. As a matter of fact, we're gonna take the race car up to Flagstaff on Tuesday. No, we gotta do a feed on Tuesday, so maybe Monday. And we're gonna do some testing up there and clutch work for the high altitude to prepare for Vegas to Reno, but then we're pretty much done, ready to go. All right, can we sign out? Let's get.
Hey,
Thank you, short day.
Last question on the feed, and it's probably our most popular question. Are we getting the speed side by side?
Always get that damn question, you guys. Yes, we're getting it. As a matter of fact, we're supposed to go testing with Robbie in the beginning of next month. So I don't think I can tell you anything about it after that, but we're gonna know a lot more. So thanks for tuning in, you guys. Appreciate you doing that. Keep the questions coming and keep giving us suggestions as to the style or the subjects for the feeds. And so that way we can keep doing feeds that are new and different instead of doing the same one 3 times. So if you have any questions about our products, call us at 623-217-4959. If you want to buy some stuff, then go to the website, shocktherapist.com. And you guys have a great weekend. We'll see you next week.